Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast for women who want to build a successful career or business through unlocking their unique value. Just a quick note for everyone who's listening. Please follow me on Substack so you can get updates about my fresh content, and I always welcome your comments and questions. Today's episode will be useful for everyone who is in a position or soon going to be in a role where you need to interact with senior leadership. And my guest is my former colleague and an old time friend, and today an executive coach who has 17 years' experience at Shell and over 30 years in large corporations. She has seen and done a lot in her career, and she is a well-known as a go-getter and a high performer herself. She loves to work with people who are determined to make a change for the better, take the next step in their career, and explore what holds them back. She has been mentoring colleagues and friends, and she believes that if she can help one person achieve a positive change, fulfill their true potential, or accomplish their dream, she has helped change the world. Please meet Dana Poole. Good morning, Dana. How are you today?
Hi, Luba. I'm very well, thank you, and nice to see you again. And thank you for having me on your podcast.
It's great to have you on my podcast. It's really a pleasure. It's been a while since we talked, and I was really looking forward to this conversation. And we are going to talk about how to adapt communication style when talking to senior leadership. But before we sort of jump into this, can you share a little bit more about what you do right now?
Sure. So I work as a transformation change consultant in the IT organization at Shell, which is mostly based in Bangalore, India, with some in Malaysia, Netherlands, US, and UK. And I support the leadership and their teams with embedding change, with stakeholder management, communications. And as a trusted advisor, I kind of help them figure out how transformational change can meet the business or people challenges they face. It's a very cool job.
Wow, yeah, indeed. Sounds very exciting. And definitely working with senior leadership, that must be quite challenging, but also rewarding at the same time.
hmm
Wonderful. And recently you got into coaching. How did you get into coaching? Why? What was your reason for doing that?
Yes, I did. I was inspired by one of my ex-bosses at Unilever to do a certification in executive coaching. Well, how did I get into it? I have been doing a lot of training and mentoring in my career. And I didn't want to get complacent. I always tell people about developing their emotional intelligence, their soft skills, and I want to lead by example. I don't want to just tell people what to do. I want to show them that yes, it can be done and it should be done. So in the last few years, having worked in IT, I learned a lot about new technologies and things like robotic process automation, artificial intelligence. But I wanted to raise my game in terms of complementing my skill set with executive coaching and all the other skills that come with it, being able to reflect, active listening, those kind of things.
How do,
So yeah.
how does the coaching and the new skills that you have developed or enhanced, does it help you to in your current role as a trusted advisor?
It definitely gives me a different perspective. So, Myers-Briggs, um, yeah, there's like an assessment that you can do, and it tells you about your, the type of personality that you have. And I am an ENTJ, and ENTJs are very good leaders, but they also can be a bit cold and lacking empathy. And I wanted to, you know, very early on in my career, I realized that that's something that I need to focus on in many ways. And so I thought, with coaching, it would give me that practical experience and the ability, to reflect on how am I doing, what was my journey like, and work on that. So yeah.
Very interesting. And so now you're working very closely with the leadership teams, and you are also working closely with the business. And what do you see? What are the challenges for the leaders today?
So I'm seeing this at Shell, but in other organizations too. Um, a renewed focus on, having secure and reliable operations, but very much around performance, agility, delivering business value faster, and also looking at simplifying and eliminating things, whether it's a tool, a product, a process, a way of working. I recently ran a poll on LinkedIn where I asked business and IT leaders what tops their priority list. And unsurprisingly to me, it was driving efficiency and cost savings. It's a very competitive world out there. And even companies like Shell, who people can argue have made lots of profit, they are still, trying to become lean and looking at every opportunity to automate, to improve, to deliver faster and better value. So yeah, I think it's a tough time for leaders because they are being asked to introduce efficiencies, to cut costs, to simplify, and it's something that we need to be resilient to. It's something that we need to adapt, and it's not going to go away. It's going to stay here. So you have to develop that mindset that use the company money just as you use your own money.
Yeah, that's right. It feels like indeed there is more and more pressure every year on the leaders. On the one hand, they have really very high bar. But on the other hand, they also need to lead the people. They need to motivate. They need to make sure that people, they are their biggest assets, and they need to really have the skills like empathy and, yeah, leading by example. What are you seeing from where you are right now? Are the leaders lacking those skills, or is it something that companies are really actively supporting and helping leaders to develop in that direction?
I mean, Shell is a huge organization. I can't speak for everyone, but I think one of the key messages is around care for people and self-care and well-being and work-life balance. I think this is very, very clear. Um, but of course, it's challenging when people's workloads are high. Um, yeah, it's sometimes it's hard to motivate yourself, and so having the support of your leader, encouraging you and supporting you and giving you the space and the time, I think that's, yeah, it's important. I have seen, good practices and not so good practices, and I believe that's the role that we have as transformational change and trusted advisors to, put a mirror to help our leaders understand the impact of what they do, of their actions, how people respond, what is needed, what are the gaps. I think that's where we add value to them.
Yeah, and is it difficult? Is it a difficult position to be indeed in between and hold that mirror to the leadership, and sometimes maybe give them, uh, let them see things that they don't like to see? Is it difficult to do that?
It is difficult, yeah. When cost pressures are high, yeah, you have to be ruthless. And as a leader, you're interested in the value. Are you delivering excellence? And some things are secondary. But I do believe that inherently people are good, leaders are good. They want to, look after the people. They recognize that people are, the asset. And yeah, I think. Something that I have tried to do to convince leaders that this is an area where they need to invest and it's worthwhile investing is demonstrating with data. So whenever we run a program or we do some training or coaching or helping people collaborate better, work across silos, linking it to delivery, using that data to put together the case forward and say, look, we've done it here, it worked, these were the results. Um, but yeah, it's always, of course, ultimately is their decision.
Yeah. That always helps, right? To show them the evidence to prove that it was successful and it was useful. And so when you are talking to the senior leadership, especially for those who want to build a career in business and grow, uh, what is from your experience you should do? How should you adapt your communication when you're talking to the senior leadership?
So first of all, I think you need to understand what senior leaders care about. And what I see often is that people tend to talk about the things they are passionate about, the detail of a project. So communicating about a project, for example. Of course, for them is the most important thing in the world because that's what they're working on and they're very passionate about it. But as a leader, you might have 500 projects under you, and you can't possibly know all the details about every single project. So people need to understand that talking to senior leaders differs from talking to their peers, from presenting to their team. They need to take that helicopter view. They need to step back and look at the business impact of the business outcome rather than the technical detail and the how they have delivered the project. So I always give them like a 3 slides kind of presentation. What was the challenge that they're trying to solve? What was the problem? Then what did they do to solve that problem? And number 3 was, what was the result? What was the outcome? And if you follow this very, very simple method, you're bound to hit the nail with the senior leader.
Now, and how would you find out what is important for this specific leader? What does he care about? What are the sort of the options that people have of finding out about this? Because obviously people are doing their jobs, they are really busy with their operational things, and not everybody has direct let's say, regular communication with the senior management as
Hmm.
well. So, what are the ways that people could do this research and really get a good understanding what is important for this leader?
Yes, there are actually many ways to do that. So we have regular webcasts where our senior leaders come and tell us what's top of their mind.
Hmm.
What are they? What are their priorities? What are they concerned with? So if I knew that those are the priorities, then I would try to link my project or my presentation very closely to what they've been saying. Luckily we have social media, and internally we have Viva Insights. It is our main communication tool, so we don't do email anymore. And if you follow the leader, or if you just look at what they are posting recently, or the comments they put to other posts, you can very quickly get an understanding again of what is interesting them. And then you can adapt your communication, or you can focus on things that are relevant to them.
Right. So
So
basically,
yeah.
it needs to be to the point and linked to their priorities. That's really the first and most important thing. And in terms of how should you communicate with them? I mean, like I said, not everybody is directly interacting with them. Um, how to become visible for them? Sometimes you are like two layers, levels below.
Mhm.
What have you seen in your experience? How others do this to make yourself visible so your project or your initiative gets noticed, first of all, by the leaders, and then probably it will be a beginning of a conversation or some collaboration.
So there are many ways to be visible. One of them is, of course, on social media, talking about the project, or talking about the achievements that you've done, and at mentioning those particular leaders in your own team. In Shell, we're very lucky. Our leaders are fairly approachable. We do what is called a GTKY, a get to know you. So leaders actually have these kind of GTKY conversations with people far below in the organization, because they want to keep on the pulse of what's happening. They want to meet people. So it's not that hierarchical that you can only approach your line manager and the line manager's line manager. you can follow them on LinkedIn and have a conversation there. There are many ways, I think, in which you can. I have recently connected with one of the new CIOs in my team, and he very kindly accepted my LinkedIn request. And I'm following him, and I want to know what he's passionate about and what are the things that he talks about, so that if I do have the opportunity to meet him, then I'm able to, from the work that I do, pick something that I know that he would be interested in. So
Right.
there are many ways to be visible. I just think people don't always think it's important, don't always find the time, don't always think very, very carefully about the impression they are going to make. It's sometimes a rushed thing, on a Friday afternoon, an afterthought, and yeah, it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah. And for those who want to grow in their career, definitely it's a good thing to do, to really pay attention to the leadership, what their priorities are, learn to communicate with them, follow them indeed, and try to understand how can you not only be visible to them, but also how can you add value to what they are doing. And so yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, it's a missed opportunity if you don't see it, and if you're not doing it, then yeah, you're probably missing a lot of chances to do maybe more interesting, highly visible projects, or maybe to get a promotion. Anyway, it's a missed opportunity in my eyes, missed opportunity to grow, basically, because if you are working with leadership, in my experience, I don't know how about you, but it's always uh, accelerated growth, your professional growth, because you're learning quite a lot. What about you?
Yes. Yes, I just wanted to mention that recently I did this career growth session with one of my teams. And as part of preparing for this presentation, I did a lot of research myself and asked people who work in talent development, how do people get promoted? What is the promotion criteria? Not just within Shell, but outside. And I asked around, and people said there's kind of like four levels that leaders would look at. First of all, whether you are a professional, and I think this is a kind of a given. Everybody is these days good at their job, they're trustworthy, they're reliable, they're resilient, they focus on their self development. So this is kind of a given. If you are good at your job, that's pretty much the basic. um, but then is the network. How connected are they? How visible they are in the network? Who is championing them? How diverse and large is their network? So it's not just keeping your head down and doing the job, it's networking outside of your team, outside of your normal environment. The third level is communication. How well can they articulate their thoughts? How confident do they come across? How proficiently they write or speak in meetings? And then the last element is their emotional intelligence. How self-aware they are in terms of how they respond to certain emotions. How empathetic they are. Are they good at reading people? What are their social skills like? So it's kind of a bit of a pyramid with emotional intelligence at the top. And I was asking people, well, when was the last time that you did an emotional intelligence assessment? And are you even aware of how you come across in meetings, when you are being challenged, what your body language, what your response like? And yeah, people found that really intriguing, because in IT, they tend to focus on technical skills. I'm going to do an Azure training, or I'm going to do a cloud training. And they think that's it. I'm good enough to be promoted. And having given them this food for thought, a lot of them were telling me that, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't think like that. And this is not something that is very transparent in organizations. Is a bit of information that you kind of learn in your career. Nobody's going to tell you what is the recipe to getting promoted. And of course, it's not the same everywhere. But I try to kind of from different sources pull together this secret and share it with people, so that very early in their career they can plan ahead and realize that they need to help themselves.
I think this is the great recipe indeed. Four elements which you described very clearly, I think would be super helpful for people to make note of and remember when they start preparing for promotion discussions with their line managers. So they will know what are the things that they need to take care of and make sure that this is what they have, and they worked on it, and the manager will look at this. And another thing what I'm hearing from what you are saying is that self-development is also an important element what line managers are also looking at, and specifically in the IT sector, and that I also hear from other people in the business as well. Um, Self-development in the area of soft skills is quite often ignored, indeed, in
Mhm.
favor of IT skills. They really tend to believe that if you have hard skills and you are an expert in something, that's good enough for a promotion, for a new job, or even for the whole career, which is not true. I speak as well with a lot of recruiters, and they tell me that even um, in the interview process, they already try to assess soft skills of IT people, because even at that early stage, it is critical to understand, is this person going to fit into the team? Is this person able to develop more in these areas? What about your experience in terms of self-development? I know Shell is a company that invests a lot in this. What what do you see needs to happen in self-development space for people to sort of even go to the next level of their career?
I think it's hard, especially when your workload is high. And this is something that I'm experiencing myself, but also the people that I work with. Being in this kind of high tempo environment where sometimes we have major incidents we have to deal with, and very very senior stakeholders that you have to be accountable to. I see that people don't always find the time and motivation to work on their own development, and even when they do, there are so many resources and so many within Shell, outside of Shell, on LinkedIn Learning. Shell has given people free access to LinkedIn Learning, but I think people feel overwhelmed. And so I think it's important that our leaders, especially in a world where there is no such thing as job security anymore, right? No one is truly indispensable, whether you're a contractor or an employee. You know, there are restructurings all the time. Your job can come to an end. So I think as individuals, need to be accountable for our own development. But I think also leaders need to encourage, support, and provide, enable us to do that, give us the time. And in Shell, we have these quiet periods. So 4 times a year, we have these 2 weeks where there are no meetings, there are no webcasts. Ideally, your workload is not so high because everybody's kind of focusing on self-development, on reflection, on recharging. And I think it's amazing for Shell to offer that. So I know that our leaders are always encouraging people in those periods to focus on their self-development. But I think it's also a bit of an education. For example, in the IT organization in Bangalore, um, I think it's a bit of a culture that, university graduates, they very much value technical skills. So I work a lot with software developers, software engineers. These are, very intelligent people. Um, but yeah, they don't see soft skills as important. And yet, when you ask them, they all want a leadership position. So that's why sometimes you end up with technical managers who are very good at their job, but they're not so good at managing people. And that's where, not being aware how to manage conflict, how to manage tricky situations, how to have a development or, you know, um, a feedback conversation in the right way, how to delegate work, how to listen to the team's perspectives and views, and that's where it can create friction. And so part of my work, I am trying to get the middle layer of the managers to understand the importance of soft skills and to enable their own teams, through their personal development plan, which they are created together with the line manager, based on your career aspiration, to not just focus on training and technical training and mentoring, but also on soft skill development.
Yeah, I really like when you started answering my question with acknowledging the fact that it is hard. It is really hard. There's a lot of work, and you really need to put the time aside for this self-development, self-reflection. It doesn't happen overnight. It is a journey. You need to be on that journey for a certain period of time. So you really need to be committed to this. So I really like that you highlighted that. I think it's really important indeed, to have realistic expectations of
Mm,
yourself. Yeah. And yeah, we have busy lives, we have work, we have families, and lots of other things happening in the world. So yeah, you need to find that time. But it is important, and it's not going to get you further in your career if you're not doing this. So that's basically um, what we are seeing, right? What is your, can you give an example of somebody you worked with that went through a transformation through your coaching, that was not only a personal transformation but also helpful for the business?
mhm. Sure. So one of my teams, they are doing regular webcasts and they are doing these mentee surveys to find out how people are feeling. These are anonymous, so it's a really good way to really capture what people feel and think. And so through these surveys, they identified that people, the mood felt a bit low. People felt a bit overworked and stressed, and um, they said that, they need some help. So I kind of designed this training and coaching program, because what we identified is that they were struggling with prioritization and time management. So I sent a survey out and I asked them what is the area that they would need help with. And some people said, I want to learn how to prioritize and manage my time better. Other people said, I want to feel empowered to say no. Other people said, I wanted to build some discipline or confidence, develop self awareness and communication. So I kind of designed this so that some people would get very hands-on training and other people would get one-on-one confidential executive coaching. And we had about 80 participants. And for the 4 months program where we did these sessions, and it had amazing results. Basically, 97% of people who participated said that it has had a positive change. And I tried to capture some stories of, what people said. Somebody said, I build self-awareness and I'm taking confident strides towards my goal. Somebody said that they practice a positive mantra daily. They look in the mirror, and I asked this lady to tell herself three things that she's really good at. She was struggling a bit with confidence. Other people said, they speak more in meetings. They ask questions and more kind of business outcome questions. Other people said, I stopped overthinking and I speak more my mind, and this has helped me build confidence. There was someone who wanted to build discipline. He struggled to wake up in the morning. And so, what he did through this program is he set up a badminton morning group in WhatsApp. And he basically got these people together and they were playing badminton in the mornings. And, he would wake up at 5 a.m. and feel like he had a sense of accomplishment. And the one element that I loved about this program is that yes, we tried to improve delivery excellence and we tried to improve performance, but we looked at the human, not just the employee, because we have to realize that, when you go home, you take your mind with you, you take who you are with you. And when you're at work, your challenges and personal problems, you can't separate the two. So it's important to kind of coach and train the human, regardless whether it's a personal challenge or a professional challenge. I think those two things, are complementary, and we need to look at the whole person. So it has been a really positive experience, and using the data to demonstrate to the leadership that people have gained confidence, self-awareness, discipline. They had an improved ability to handle workload and be more productive. And so I think this, I'm hoping to share this kind of business case more widely with other teams within Shell and other leaders. And I have been doing so as part of our continuous improvement program, so that others can benefit from it and realize that, training and coaching and mentoring is not kind of a fluffy activities that is worth doing, but is actually something that can help you improve your delivery and your performance.
Well, that would be great. I think you should share these stories more. They should be also even shared with the wider audience, because indeed it is overall the quality of our life, because work is a huge part of our life. And if you are miserable at work, it's not only that you are underperforming, you're also having a horrible life. So yeah, I think improving, helping people to improve their performance, you also help them to improve their quality of life, which is yeah, which is really great. And in the long term, it's the right thing to do, because you want people to be happy and healthy and productive and keep working and also living and enjoying their life. That's in the end what everybody wants. So I think that's really, really great to hear that you're doing such initiatives, and you are seeing actually, and you are having the data to confirm it, that it's bringing the results that you want to the business. So yeah, I would be really happy if you share it as well with the wider world about this. That would be a great
Sure, sure.
story.
Yes, I'm working on it. I want to, take away some of the confidential data from Shell and just kind of package it in a way that other organizations can apply it. Of course, it needs to be tailored to the culture.
Mhm.
One of the things I did in Shell is I kind of, and that's the reason I spaced it out. You have to appreciate that, yes, people want to invest in themselves and develop, but business takes priority. And so giving them a chance, and I was giving them homework, and I wanted to give them time and space to do that, and then come back to the group and talk about what struggles they had. I think that's, it wasn't just learning from me, but learning from each other and getting tips from each other and ideas of what worked and didn't, just providing that environment where people can connect. And hearing, that, for example, people who said they wanted to build confidence, they were both men and women, and I wanted to bring them together so that they can see that it's not gender specific.
Mhm.
But that the common element was to do with the fact that it wasn't confidence when they were talking to their colleagues or even their bosses. It was confidence about when they were talking to senior leaders. And that's when I recognized that what I needed to do, and I actually added this special session. It was about how helping them improve their communication style. And so what we did is we interviewed our leader and asked her what are her expectations when people come and talk to her. So I wanted them to hear directly from her, what she thinks, how do they come across, what she thinks is important, and that went down very, very well.
And
And
was
the last,
were there an eye-opening aha moments when they heard that message?
it was, I mean, one of the things I always tell them is that senior leaders in IT can't possibly know every technology and every product out there. And so this jargon that we're very familiar in and we use, they don't know that. And so when they heard it directly from her, it was like, oh, okay, now I get it. So that was, yeah, that was really good.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Really, really great to hear this. Um, I guess it's really, really great to hear all the stories and the work that you are doing. Really inspiring and gives me hope, to be honest, that there are good things that could be done in big organizations. What would be your advice to aspiring leaders today who want to build a career?
So I think my advice would be to um, have a proper kind of career growth plan. I know sometimes it's difficult to answer the question, where do I want to go in 5 years or 3 years or 10 years? And of course, life happens and you might get derailed. And that's why I'm kind of telling people to focus more on their soft skills rather than technical skills, because it doesn't matter what type, whether you work in HR or IT or whatever role, you would always need to influence people. You would always need to engage and collaborate. You wouldn't always know how to tackle things with empathy. So I think, yeah, having a bit of a career plan, getting a mentor. I had a mentor in my career, and I always found it really really helpful. Getting a coach. I know, these days, people seem to think that only CIOs and CEOs and people like Elon Musk have coaches, but that's not true. Executive coaching is affordable and it's available to everyone. And I think there are points in your career where having coaching, perhaps, helping you figure out your next steps or your strategy, and then you can go and work that by yourself. But I think, yeah, I would definitely suggest, having a plan, having a coach, someone who can be a sounding board, someone who can be a guide, someone who can challenge you and support you in equal measure, someone who's a good listener. I think, having had a coach myself, I know that just gives you a different perspective and helps you answer some questions that you don't even think of asking of yourself. And I find it really, really valuable. So, yeah, that would be my advice.
I couldn't agree more. And I think when you are working on your career plan and putting it in practice, when you have a coach or a mentor, somebody who is helping you, guiding you, your process, your journey will be much faster and much smoother rather than you would be doing it yourself, making all the mistakes and, getting off track, which happens with all of us. So it's not wrong to ask for help, to really work together with someone on the goals that you want to achieve. So I think your advice is brilliant and very, very valuable. I hope a lot of aspiring leaders will make a note of it and put it to action and do it, because that's really what brings you to the next level. And it's a journey, it's a process. You have to work on it, but it's not impossible, right?
Yeah, and the way I think about it is, why should only CIOs and CEOs, get access to coaches? I mean, I think that's part of, my goal as an executive coach is to make it affordable and to bring it to everyone, because it's such a valuable thing to have. And so the more people, we can educate about the value of coaching and the perspectives that it can bring, I think more people could benefit from, even if they are at the beginning of their career, or maybe they have a career change, or there are many, many stages in your life where I think you can benefit from a coach.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dana, for sharing your perspective and for sharing your experience and your knowledge. I found it very useful. I will share some notes. And of course, I will share this episode on my LinkedIn profile, and I hope people will listen to it. I know they will. There's a lot of useful information for everyone. And I wish everyone to develop their communication skill, their soft skills, work on this, get some help, and become strong leaders, because the world needs strong leaders. And coaches are there to help you. So thank you so much, Dana, and to everybody listening. Have a great day. Until next time.
Thank you so much, Luba. Thank you.